They have a pair of the safest hands in the business. And the referee comes from the other side of the country, Douglas MacDonald. In this Bank of Scotland Scottish Premier League game, Celtic might expect to put 3 points rather easily into the safety deposit box based on the fact that Dundee, conceding 6 goals the last time they were here, now have an overdraft of -20 in goal difference. And they don't look as if they'll balance the books before the season is out. They'll certainly be chased today by Celtic like hungry creditors. Celtic cannot afford to slip up under any circumstances. Neither can the great rivals Rangers, of course. But at least they could put this game neatly away before Rangers have to play on Sunday. Blinker, who's come on to much more impressive form in the tail end of the season. Lambert. McNamara running very much down that right-hand side of the field as he did against Kilmarnock. To no avail, it has to be said. Finding that Kilmarnock defence in very obdurate mood. Kinley, as expected. Dundee are going to be very cautious. They've left Eddie Anand up front. The rest are behind the ball. McNamara. Good into play. Lambert picks it up. That's a decent ball. But for Robert Douglas, a little piece of exercise. He'd like to see and feel the ball thus early in the game, and he did there. Neatly prodded on and then whipped across by Lambert into safe hands. Duke on the run. That's a nice little turn. Is he going for it himself? He does! Brilliant! Superb turn. And there was absolutely no way he was going to lay it off to anybody. And the Celtic supporters loving this little turn, and then the shot at goal, which Douglas had no chance with. McNamara. Beautifully put forward by Burley. Can he put it away? And that could have been an own goal. The captain, Barry Smith, coming in to help there as Celtic repeatedly are tearing this defence to ribbons. Superb ball by Burley. Look how difficult it was to bring it down with the chest. But he did it so coolly. Disappointing one that time. Lambert. Virtually all the Dundee players back, and there's the header! Once again, Lawson does it. Makes it look so easy. 8 minutes gone. He doesn't look the tallest player when he's in a crowded penalty area, but he has the effect of impeccable timing, great precision, and doesn't he know his angles well? A mix of footballing skill and good geometry. Viduka again with that chest of his. He does that very well. The ball sometimes is played to him at a very awkward level. Kills it instantly. Boyd. Space there for McNamara again, and Viduka in the most difficult of positions, and we really have seen the full range of a very versatile player indeed. Back to goal this time. It's always going to be very difficult for him, but that's not a bad effort from a situation like that. And right in the middle of that picture, Fergus McCann with the fedora, running back talking to Craig Brown, in fact, watching his last home game, as it were, in the position he held. They got in very quickly. Eddie Anand trying to fight back. Being brushed off the ball. Good defensive work again. There's no offside as Grady is going in. And that really is no test for Gould. He had to advance on him just a little bit more. Scotland's international goalkeeper, I think, is well up to that. Narrowed the angle well, and that is Dundee's first shot at goal. Larson got away from Miller so easily there. Can he bury it? No, just played out again. It's in. Burley coming at the end of that glorious run again by Henrik Larsson. You wouldn't say it was the hardest shot that Burley's ever hit in his life, but going through a rock of players in the box, it was always going to count, and it did. Just about 12 minutes to go this half, and Celtic now beginning to get back onto the track. They started off so strongly with earlier on. You could see it had a couple of bounces there, but it was accurate. There's Blinker. There's the run by Larsson, but Burley decided on an alternative. McNamara. Lots of space in that left-hand side. Look at the way McKinley was allowed to come up there. There was no cover on Viduka. His 5th goal for the club. Just before half-time, I think. He seals the destiny of Dundee. There was only one candidate for this in the box. Nicely curled in, and his strength and positioning brings about Celtic's 3rd goal. In he goes again. Larsson. Good run by Burley. Again, he got space to get into the box there. And it's off the bar. Reset came up on that unexpectedly. His first real venture into the penalty area. Reaching out for it. Just got underneath it, and desperately unfortunate that that came off the underside of the bar. Picked up by Ray. He has no support. Willie Miller, McAnally, and there goes the halftime whistle. And if you're a schoolboy watching this program at the moment, have a look at this first goal. This is textbook stuff by the Swede opening Celtic's account, simply because it was an equal battle in the penalty area, in the air, and yet great timing, great sense of knowing exactly where the ball was going to end up. Second goal by Craig Burley, as I said at the time, not the hardest, the most dynamic shot he's ever had in his career, and he certainly has plenty of these. So then that last goal, which I think the Celtic supporters wanted desperately well for the big fellow, and the way he took his goal there, commanding, it really does indicate that Celtic were quite right to be patient and go through all that trouble to bring him here to Celtic Park for goals like that, as Celtic go off triumphant, leading by 3-0. To put it bluntly, this is no contest, and I think it could be summarised this way. Henrik Larsson has now scored his 36th goal of the season, and that's 11 more than the entire Dundee team put together. It shows you the enormous gulf that exists, not just only in the playing field, but in the very existence of a club for which Dundee are fighting at the moment, and one hopes to succeed. Oh, but dear, what a struggle they have. Celtic have played excellently, but Dundee, to be absolutely honest with you, have been dreadful. To Burley. Larsson creeping in there, and you could see just how quicker on the uptake they are. That's not a bad ball, and Douglas did get a touch there just as Viduka was coming in for the kill. Yes, you like that ball play to him. But really, the whole danger spread from the fact that Barry Smith seemed so lackadaisical in allowing Larsson to creep in behind him in midfield. Once again, that control by Viduka, excellent. It was a difficult ball, and that's a great piece of play. Emanating from the Australian creation. Watch this. He did very well to get the ball in the first place, and Larsson with that typical flick of the head there, but Douglas in the right place. And two sets of wildly contrasting dugouts there. Boyd. Look at the space that Larson got. That's a great save. Well, that must be one of the saves of the season. Larson, really disastrous Dundee defence, giving him so much latitude like that. Got away from them. And Douglas, with that tremendous reach and power of hand, keeps him out. Great save. Nice little touch on there to Grady. What out of that? Well, that's a good piece of play. Eddie Annan going in now. And the very presence of goal coming down as Dundee get the first real chance of the match and blow it. Great play by Grady. Annan just touching it a little bit too late there, and Gould certainly put him off by going in close to his feet. Yes, it's very difficult for a goalkeeper who's been merely a spectator. He could be up there in the stands having an ice cream for most of the time, to suddenly be put on the spot, and he did it well. Boyd. Look at the way that Larson has crept in behind the defence again, and the referee has given a penalty. There's a kind of delayed reaction to that. I kept my eye on the referee, and he didn't point to the spot almost immediately. There's the touch there, and he seemed to have lost possession of the ball, but he had his arm all the way around him, and the referee, after contemplation, I think, awarded the penalty. Larson himself to take this, and taken with absolute conviction. Goal number 37, and Dundee looked as if they might just get away with it, having worked very hard in the second half, but then that one bust by the man, they cannot pin him down. I mean, that's the great quality of this player. I've said that Dundee are giving him too much latitude, but on the other hand, he has the ability to create that for himself. Once again, space. Blinker finds it this time, and that's in! Number 5, and really, the man I've been praising for his great ability to let that go right through him. Reggie Blinker, making it number 5. Here's a shot now. Given the quality of the saves we've seen so far, I thought Douglas would be a certain to stop it. He didn't. And that is only his second goal since being at Celtic, as he's now back firmly in the Celtic supporters' favour. Grady, free kick. That's not a bad ball in, and they cannot put it away. Well, you know, when the world seems to be up against you, even something as simple, relatively simple looking as that, becomes ridiculously difficult. And there goes the final whistle, and Celtic Park, not surprisingly, give the Celtic players a standing ovation. It's not just a case of them having scored 5 goals from the very outset. There was a great deal of depth, intelligence and variety to the play. Indeed, in the first 5 minutes you would have thought that Dundee would have been swept aside. As it was, Celtic played a much more poised game in midfield, allowing Dundee to come slightly back into it, but as I said, they were firing at all cylinders. They were coming forward from different kinds of angles, always keeping the pressure on, always getting the ball into the box as early as they possibly could, And with the depth and the quality of finishing, no wonder they ran up the score, even though one from the penalty spot, and even though Robert Douglas ought to perhaps have saved that final shot. As it is, Celtic have given another timely warning to their great rivals by finishing up the afternoon by leading by 5 goals to 0.
Yeah, we played very good today. We got off to a good start, and after that I think that the game was in our hands.
Now, you scored a goal today, but I don't think you thought it was in at the time.
No, I didn't actually, but I came through, and the only thing I thought was shoot, and somehow it went past the keeper, but it wasn't the best of shots. But the guys now in the dressing room called me from now on, they call me the Rocket. So it went in like a rocket, but not really.
All the supporters that come here to watch you, they're watching on Scott Sport tonight, so desperate to know if you're going to stay at Celtic. What can you tell them?
At the moment I can't really tell that very much. I know that I have 1 year left on my contract, that's what I can say.
But you are negotiating for a possible extension, yeah?
I don't have a comment on that.